Morning students, welcome back to session 2, chapter 7, Gupta Age and Other Rulers. In this session, we will learn about the administration, religious status, economic condition and cultural achievements during Gupta dynasty. So let's get started. My dear students, let's start this session with the views of Fahian about the ancient India during Gupta age. The Chinese traveler Fahian visited India at the time of Chandragupta II. He praised administration and prosperity of the Gupta Empire. The emperor worshipped Lord Vishnu. He was Vaishnav, but he was tolerant to other faiths. Buddhism flourished side by side, which suggests that the people observed tolerance in religious matter. His army chief, Amrakar Dev, was a Buddhist, and his minister, Varsen, was a Shaiv, means follower of Lord Shiva. He built many Buddhist monasteries in Patliputra. The Gupta age could become the golden age because of many cultural achievements achieved during the rule of Chandragupta II. He was the patron of scholars and poets. Patron means a person or group that supports an activity or organization, specially by giving money. His royal court was adorned by the Navratna or the nine jewels. Adorn means make more beautiful or attractive. By patronizing men like Kalidas, Amar Singh, Dhanvantri, Harishen, Kahapanaka, Sanku, Varamihir, Vararuchi, and Vetal Bhatt gave valuable services to the culture of his age. Vikramaditya is described as Rajashri, that indicates that he was a man of many virtues and saintly character, even though he was emperor of a great empire. The great Sanskrit poet and playwright Kalidas was his royal poet, and Dhanvantri was his royal Vedya. James, like scientist Varamihir, Vetal Bhatt, writer of Amar Kosh, Amar Singh, etc., used to adorn the court. During the time of Chandragupta II, sculpture, architecture, and art were beautifully developed. The Indian artists put their heart and soul to project their ideas and imagination totally free from foreign influence. Simplicity became the silent feature of the Gupta art. The image of Lord Buddha at Sarnath looks like a living being and in the preaching mood. The pictures depicted in Ajanta, Ellora, and Bagh caves have the main importance in the history of Indian paintings. Many of the art pavilions of Ajanta caves were built during this time. Pavilion means building used for shelter as in a park or garden. It is believed that monks stayed at these caves during monsoon. Chandragupta II built a number of Buddhist monasteries in the capital of Patliputra. Children, do you know the iron pillar at Mehroli near Delhi was established during this time? This iron pillar has not yet rusted despite being in heat and rain. The pillar is famous for its non rusted state. despite being made of 99% iron and having been constructed in 5th century CE, according to a popular translation of the Brahmi script upon the iron pillar of Delhi. It was made to honor one of the most important gods, Vishnu. Students, Chandragupta II made Ujjain the second capital of Magad Empire. He divided the state into different administrative units for running streamlined administration. He administered his state with the advice and help of ministers. He divided his kingdom into different units for smooth administration. In the year 414 AD, the great emperor Chandragupta Vikramaditya died. Children, let's discuss about the end of Gupta dynasty. Kumar Gupta the first came to the throne after the death of his father. During his time, some famous caves of Nalanda and Ajanta were constructed. After Kumar Gupta the first, his brave son Skandagupta came to power. The weak rulers of post Skandagupta could not withstand the onslaught attacks of the obsessive and powerful Huns. Therefore, the Gupta Empire disintegrated in 550 AD. Withstand means remain undamaged or unaffected by, and onslaught means aggressive. Disintegrated means break up into small parts or lose strength and gradually fail. Means post Skandagupta kings could not face the aggressive attacks of Huns and lost its strength, and it was the end of Gupta dynasty. Let's discuss about the administration of Gupta age. We get the information about the administration during Gupta age from the records, the Smritis and the Puranas. The governing body was divided into three sections: central, provincial and local. Emperor was at the center of Gupta administration. He adopted titles like Maharajadhiraj and Param Bhagwat. Usually, the prince was appointed as the head of the province. The province was called the Bhukti and district was called the Vishai. Economic condition during Gupta age. Students, do you know in economic terms, Gupta age was a golden period. Farming, international trade were well developed. Special farming practices included annual 3 years and 5 years farming. There was cultivation of wheat and rice in North India, sugarcane in Gandhar, grapes and saffron in Kashmir. Rice was grown in large quantity in Bengal, cotton in Gujarat and Sindh, and silk was produced in Bengal. Trade of condiments, spices, silk, and cotton had developed in South India. The king took a sixth part of the total product as tax. The greater part of the taxes was spent on works for public welfare. Agriculture was the prime source of income. Land was donated to Brahmins and temples. Brahmins enjoyed a prestigious position in the society. International trade was the epitome of Gupta age. Epitome means excellent or perfect example of, means foreign trade flourished at the great extent during Gupta period. Spices, cotton, cloth, silk cloth, timber, etc. were exported from international ports like Khambat, Bharuch, Sopara and Tamralipi, etc., while gold and silver were imported. Students, let's learn about the religious status during Gupta dynasty. Hinduism and Indian culture are seen in full swing during Gupta age. Gupta emperors gave Vaishnavism the status of state religion. As a result, Vishnu and his avatars, Sri Ram and Sri Krishna, were mostly worshipped at this time. Lakshmi became very famous goddess. The Ramayana, the Mahabharata and the Puranas were recompiled. Recompiled means rewrite. Those who practiced Hinduism to a serious extent eventually broke into two sects, means divisions, came into existence, Vaishnavism and Shaivism. Vaishnavism was mostly prevalent in northern India, while the Shaivism in southern India. Shiv saints were called Nayanar in South India, whereas Vaishnav saints were called Alva. They worshipped Mahisasur Mardini, Durga. The worship of Kartikeya was also famous. Samudragupta was a protector of Buddhism. Samudragupta and other Gupta kings traditionally belonged to a Hindu dynasty. They were Orthodox Hindus but did not force their beliefs on the rest of the population, as Buddhism and Jainism also were encouraged. Sanchi remained an important center of Buddhism. At that time, Mahayana and Hinayana cults were developed in Buddhism. Cults means branches. Children, let's discuss about the cultural achievements during the Gupta age. Gupta age was the golden age of Sanskrit literature. During that time, Prashastis, inscriptions, and Tamrapatras were written in Sanskrit. Gupta emperors were scholars and literature lovers. Many new languages developed during this age. Kalidas, Skandaswami, Hariswami, Rani Vijaya, and Aryasu were important writers and scholars of that time. Among all, Kalidas was the best. Kalidas is called the Shakespeare of India. He wrote epics like Abhigyan Shakuntalam, Raghuvansham, and Meghadutam. Gupta age was an era of temple architecture. Most important architectural marvel means wonder of Gupta period are temples. Most temples built in the Gupta era were carved with representation of god and goddesses. Gupta style temples were modeled, means based on the architectural norms of the Mathura school. In Gujarat, Gop, Parvati temple of Nachana Kothar and temple of Jhansi are the first brick temples of India. The Gupta age marks the beginning of the temple architecture. The idols of Durga, Buddha, Krishna, and Shiva were made in large numbers. Students, I hope you understood the part we discussed today. So revise it and write all important points in your notebook. In the next session, we will discuss about Emperor Harshvardhan Pulkeshi II. Till then, stay home, stay safe.